In this video, we're going to be talking about the authoritarian of the USSR and Joseph Stalin. First, we're going to talk about the origins and rise to power of Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Union, I guess, and the Bolsheviks. The Russian Revolution came around through political and economic problems of the regime of Tsarist Russia under Tsar Nicholas II and the problems that he created, such as the failures of the Duma and the inability to create a democratic system for the people of Russia, even though he promised them in the First Russian Revolution that they would be able to have a voice and speak freely in the government. But this obviously did not happen in the Duma, and he continued to rule with an iron fist over his people and not give them any voice. Another origin is the impact of the First World War on the Russian people and how this created mass economic and social problems in the population, especially through famine and other things. And when the Bolsheviks came to power, one of their Lenin's one of his things was peace, land, and bread, and peace was obviously bringing about the end of the First World War for the Russians and making sure that they focus on themselves instead of other countries. This obviously came about after the abdication of the Tsar and the Tsarist government and regime in Russia, and the Russian Civil War after the Tsar was abdicated and the Reds versus the Whites, and the Reds being the Bolsheviks and communists of Russia, and the Whites being the Tsarist loyalists, British people, the United States, anyone who wanted to keep the old rule in power and get rid of the communists. And then after the Bolshevik Revolution and the death of Lenin, the rise of Stalin came around. His rise was, for the most part, unexpected. He was the general secretary of the Communist Party in Russia. It gave him access to a lot of information in the government and let him become a major voice and rising star in the Communist Party. He was very paranoid of other people once he came to power. He believed that almost everyone was trying to take his power away. One of those main beneficiaries of this paranoia was Leon Trotsky, who he saw as his biggest threat, and he first exiled him, but then it became so apparent that his paranoia would reach such high levels that he assassinated him in Mexico. This let Stalin become one of the greatest killers of the 20th century, killing many of his own party members in the Great Purges, and anyone and everyone who he thought was against him in his rise and conquest for power in the Communist Party in Soviet Russia would be either executed in mock trials or sent to gulags in Siberia. Okay, and on to consolidation and maintenance of power, which I just mentioned with the Great Purges. So we have power, we have use of force, propaganda, and charismatic leadership. I feel like the most important one for Soviet Russia was use of force and just all around terror purges. Since there was sort of a split in the Communist Party, especially after the failure of the first 5-year plan under Stalin and many other failures of economic and social policies that the communists put in place, this fueled Stalin's paranoia and brought about the purges and show trials in the Great Terror. Propaganda was, you can sort of put propaganda and charismatic leadership under the same one, under the cult of personality of Stalin and Lenin. Lenin had a very large cult of personality with his followers and the Bolsheviks due to his charismatic leading and his great speechwriting, and Stalin wanted to emulate this and he created his own cult of personality, which was smaller but just as powerful due to his use of force and almost making people join the cult of personality. The results of his domestic policies shifted from new economic plan to the 5-year plan, and with a concentration on heavy industry trying to get the Soviet Union away from agriculture. And then social, women were given a lot more freedom under communist Russia. Independence from Family Code of 1926. However, religion was one thing that suffered under Stalin.